Hello everyone, it's Amira. Welcome back to my channel. I am so happy you're here. If you're new here, my name is Amira and I like to make cozy gaming videos that kind of feel like you're hanging out with a friend. So I have Happy Home Paradise speed build videos like the one that you are watching, and I also have videos where I build on my own island as well as island tours. Some of them are long plays, some of them are speed builds, some of them are kind of somewhere in the middle. It's usually pretty chill over here on my sort of corner of the internet. So if that sounds like something that you think you would be interested in, I would love if you hit that subscribe button, if you hit that notifications bell, if you hit the like button, all of that kind of good stuff, and join our cozy community here on YouTube. Jumping right into this build, we are building for my dear friend Anchovy today. I think he is like one of the cutest, if not the cutest bird in this game. I don't know, the birds, they're not my favorite villager type, but I do think Anchovy is a sweetie. And you probably noticed right away that we started off with something already pretty much finished. We had a whole farmscape sort of thing happening. We had a picnic table with an apple pie, and we had a pumpkin patch, and we had tractors and like hay bales and all of that sort of farmcore fall aesthetic sort of things. And I deleted it. And this is because this is another one of those builds that was a 2-day process for me. So one night I started it and I built up this entire farm thing. And then the next day, which is technically today, I came back and I looked at it and I realized I hated it. And I think that's because of like a couple reasons. The first thing was, when I built it the first night, I had 2 meetings after work that day, and I kind of just forced myself to sit down and record something. Well, I needed to get out this video, right? And the issue was I was exhausted, and by the end of filming that out at the exterior of that build, I was pretty much half asleep. I was falling asleep. I was so tired. My plan was to come back the next day and finish the interior of the build. And then I opened up my game and I was like, oops, turns out I hate it. And I don't know if it was because I don't know where the farm core thing honestly came from. I think I was trying to force myself to do something different or push myself out of my comfort zones a little bit. I really can't really tell you. And then when I opened it up the next day, I was like, let me just build something that I actually like. Maybe that would be good. So if you take anything away from this, don't force yourself to build stuff you don't like. Don't force yourself to go out of your comfort zone if you don't want to. If you want to build the same 2 things every single time you play this game, go right ahead. You have my permission to do that, because I don't know, sometimes it's nice, I guess, to do a challenge every once in a while. And sometimes I am feeling particularly inspired to build something that I've never built before, or to use an item and build an entire thing based around a specific item so that it kind of fits outside of my comfort zone. I don't know. You know what I mean? I just feel like more often than not, you never end up liking it if you force yourself to build something that you don't really want to build. So when I came back to finish this build, I really tried to think about what am I feeling like building? What would bring me joy right now? And the answer to that is anything plant related. And I think a large part of this is due to the fact that on my current island, which is a garden core island, its name is Basil. I have a whole playlist of builds that we've done so far. I think it's only been 3, but if you haven't seen those, I think you should go check it out, because that island is turning out super cute. Anyways, I'm just really feeling the whole spring core garden plant thing recently with that island. I'm so excited about it. The only issue I've been having recently is I don't know what little builds I want to do on there. And I think Happy Home Paradise is such a great place to kind of play around and try out different things. And so I know that I want so many different types of gardens on that island. I know I want Nook's Cranny to end up being the garden center at a Home Depot. And so I just kind of ran with this whole garden center plant nursery thing, because I know eventually I'm going to do something like this on Basil. It'll probably fit more in with what Basil actually looks like and the color scheme of that. You'll see the color scheme kind of goes in a direction I wasn't expecting it to out here. But that's what I ended up doing here. I ended up sort of using it as a practice run for a garden center. And I found some things that I really like, and I also found some things that maybe aren't my favorite. But overall, I think this build ends up turning out super cute. So if you ever feel like you're in a rut with your island, or you don't know what to do, or you kind of have a very vague idea, sometimes the effort that goes into putting in a build on your actual island, because you have to place everything individually and it's just so much more tedious. It's almost not worth it if you're not 100% sure what you want to build. That is where Happy Home Paradise is such a useful tool, because you can mess around with it. It's like no risk, no loss, none of that. It doesn't take like a ton. I mean, okay, it can take a ton of time, but it's not as tedious as it is over on your actual island. So I love to use Happy Home Paradise as a place to kind of test out my ideas, use it as a test run for my own island. And there are many times where I will do a build on my island that is very, very heavily inspired by something that I had already done on Happy Home Paradise, just because it's so much easier to do that over here. So there's my spiel on that. I feel like I kind of have that same sort of speech every single time I do one of these speed builds, but I'm telling the truth. And I also feel like my ability and my skill level to decorate my own island really kind of kicked up a notch after I bought this DLC and started practicing more and more with exteriors. I had always loved interiors, but it was the actual exterior decorating on my own island that I always kind of struggled with. And this DLC helped so much with that. So I am forever grateful for Happy Home Paradise DLC. Okay, let's kind of talk about this build a little bit here. You're kind of noticing I keep this same shape that I had with the farm for quite a while. We keep the same sort of layout, and my plan actually was to keep it. It does end up changing, not like drastically, but a little bit. The pathing ends up getting reworked because I end up doing this centerpiece with the blue hydrangea bushes and the bird bath. I do feel like it's like my go-to for this layout to have like the house on the right side and then the storefronts on the left. I feel like I do that so often. And I think that's where I start to maybe try and force myself out of my comfort zone, especially when I'm filming videos for you guys, because I don't feel like you maybe want to watch me build the same exact thing every single time. But I don't know, that's just what ends up happening every single time I play this game, especially on this lot. The storefronts always end up there and the house always ends up on the right, and I don't know what else to say about that. You will now start to see me decide that maybe the path that I have right now might need to change a little bit. And it starts off with like, maybe I'll just change it a teensy bit. And then the teensy bit turns into a little teensy bit more, and then a teensy bit more. And then all of a sudden we have some funky pathways going on. So I end up having that same stone path wind around the hydrangea bushes with the bird bath, and that becomes a whole centerpiece thing. And then in the bottom right corner, I have more hydrangea bushes and flowers, and it kind of turns into like a little separate flower pretty garden, except it's not really. I don't really know what to call what ends up happening in that bottom right corner. All I know is that it's pretty and I kind of like it. I've also actually never been to a plant nursery before in my 27 years of living. I mean, I guess I've been to like the garden center at a Home Depot, but even that, it's been many years. So this might not be the most accurate thing you've ever seen in your life, but it sure ends up turning out pretty cute. And what else do you need? What else can you want from this game? You know, it's Animal Crossing. It's not going to be realistic 100% of the time, and that's okay with me. I would like to pivot for just a second and thank you all for making YouTube such a joyful place to be for me. Coming up in June will be a year since I started my channel, and I got a comment today that's really kind of triggering this whole conversation, but I just keep hearing more and more from you guys that my channel is like a safe space for you, and it's so inspiring and cozy and warm and inviting, and like I could not be happier to hear that, because that is exactly what I was hoping for, and that's also what this space has become for me. Truly, I just love this game so much, and I wanted to share it with you in a way that felt like we were just hanging out, and I hope that that comes across. And I love using pretty music and kind of doing long plays every once in a while to really just slow down and, I don't know, just share my love for this game. And it's kind of turned out into this beautiful little friendship and community, and I am just so eternally grateful for all of you. So whenever I say at the beginning of these videos, like, I'm so happy you're here, I hope you know that I truly mean that. I am so happy that you are all here, and it means the absolute world to me. And I'm so happy that we have created this whole safe space together. So that's another thing I wanted to say, is that, like, yes, I know that I'm the one that posts these videos, but really the safe space is cultivated by everyone here. So thank you all for being so kind and for sharing your ideas and being so welcoming. If you're not a member of the Discord, I highly suggest it. Again, it is just like such a welcoming, warm, cozy place to be. everyone in the Animal Crossing community, I feel like for the most part, is just so kind. And I am just so grateful to be a part of this community. So thank you for that. My heart is so full. I would also like to take a second to talk about the Switch 2 release, and I believe pre-orders are starting like next week or something like that. So I would love to hear from you guys. Are you planning on getting one right away, or are you waiting? I feel like I might want to pre-order one and get one right away. I don't know. If there was an Animal Crossing game that was being released, I would 100% for sure be getting it right away. Part of me is like a little bit on the fence, but also I'm just so excited, and I want to play that new Mario Kart pretty bad too. So I am heavily considering pre-ordering one and getting my hands on one as soon as possible. I would love to hear from you if you're planning on getting one now, or if you're planning on waiting. If you're a really diehard Animal Crossing fan and you're just kind of waiting for an Animal Crossing release, believe me, I get that, and I was kind of in the same boat for a while. Personally, with the Direct, I wasn't too, amped on any of the games that they announced other than Mario Kart, but even that one is like not, a top game for me. There was literally nothing else that they announced that I was like dying to get my hands on right away. I think I'm just more of a Nintendo fan, and I just kind of want to have it. And so I get both sides. I get if you're going to get one right away, and I get if maybe you're going to decide to wait. I just think, I'm curious. I would love to know what you're doing and what your reasoning is and what your plans are. I'm still holding out for an Animal Crossing announcement or something like that in the near future. In a previous Happy Home Paradise speed build video, I did say that my prediction for the next Animal Crossing would be next year, because 2026 will be the 25th anniversary of the Animal Crossing franchise. So it just kind of makes sense to do a whole thing for the 25th anniversary instead of doing one now. But I was still kind of hopeful that we would get a new one for the Switch 2, but I was just being delusional, and that's okay. You have to kind of do that sometimes. Anyways, back to the build. Now you're kind of seeing me try, well, first, this is like the beginning phase of trying to figure out what to put in that bottom right corner, because we go through some transformations, let me tell you. I knew I kind of wanted to use some flowers because I wanted to lean more into like the blue hydrangea, like prettiness of the whole garden thing, but I just couldn't figure it out. I felt like everything looked awkward and just kind of like I threw it down and didn't care that much. So I do mess with this for a while because I really wanted to get it right. And I do really like the way that it ends up turning out, but just know that this was a struggle for me. Oh, I put down these like a stall because I thought maybe I could do plant stalls. The interior does become a whole plant shop, but I thought maybe there could be some spots to pick out some different plant starts and then maybe check out outside. I thought about maybe doing a picnic area, but I never sort of brought that out. I do end up bringing back the log table and the log benches just for like a hot second, and those go away pretty quickly. I try a bunch of different things. I use the log benches here and there, just trying to see if maybe they would work as more spots to put different plants on that you can peruse and buy. I truly love that little centerpiece with the bushes and the bird bath, and I love the two little signs that I have going either way, so I'll explain those. The first one going to the left has the tree on it, and in my head, that's the garden, right? The left is the garden. To the right, I almost used the home one, and then I thought, first of all, technically, the leaf is like the shop, right? And the plant shop is the home, but also it's a leaf, which is, things that you find leaves in gardens and in nature. And I just thought that worked out super well. I don't know. I thought it was cute. So I think that turns out really, really nicely. I have that hand washing station in the back there. That whole back middle area is another thing that I workshop quite a bit, specifically the fencing situation. You'll get there eventually. There's a point coming up where I go to town on the fencing, and I try pretty much every fencing that we have in this game. I end up going with the like bamboo fencing, which is I've never used that one before. I really just thought the color and the height looked nice with the home. Oh, also the home. I do end up reworking the exterior of the home. And when we started this video, you were probably like, wow, we didn't start off this video with 7 years of Amira going back and forth on the exterior of the home. Gotcha, April Fools, here it is. It's actually just in the middle of this video because remember I started off with a full build, and then when I started finishing out the exterior, I was like, this home does not match. We need to rework it. And so I did for a very long time. And I ended up using the like white stone colorway of like the regular house. I don't know what it's called. You'll see it when we get there. And I never used that one. And this was kind of tricky because I wanted it to look like a home, but I also wanted it to look like maybe you could go in and buy things. And I kind of wanted it to look like a cottage, but I didn't want it to look like a witch lived there, which there's like a hot second where I end up making like a witchy cottage. That's not what we need. That does not go with the aesthetic of the home, but it was fun to try. I go with the lighter colorway of the witch cottage, and it turns out super, super cute, I think. I also, you will be proud of me, there are so many little bits where the in-game grass pokes through and we don't cover up every single thing. Actually, there's like a whole strip at the very front of the lot where it's just grass and I don't put anything down. And I do try to cover it up, but I leave it. And the same goes with those little bits in front of the home. I don't cover that up. And that's just me on my minimalism journey. So thank you for your applause. You can all sit down, no worries. No photographs at this time, please. And thank you. I know I am just the minimalism queen. Just kidding, if you can't tell. I really, really struggle with that, even though I love minimalist islands and I love the whole aesthetic. I just love the clutter and I love filling up every little space, and it's so hard for me to not cover up every little bit of in-game grass, and I feel like I did okay at that here, but it gets pretty filled out, I'm not gonna lie. It is at this point where I start going through the entire catalog of fences that I have amassed and deciding on the bamboo one. And you know what? Sometimes in these decorating games, you do just need to go through every single option that you have available to you. And by sometimes, I mean every single time, at least for me, when I am trying to decide what to fill a space with, I do in fact have to utilize every option at my disposal. So you saw that I kind of ran the storefronts along the back there. I was getting really particularly annoyed by the gap in between the fencing and the home, and I really wanted to cover that up somehow. I think I just end up leaving it, honestly. But just know, I was really bothered by the fact that the fence didn't go right up to the home and there was this little gap. But I do really like that bamboo fencing. I think that the whole color scheme of that and the texture felt really, really nice. This is, again, me playing around with that bottom right-hand corner, and that log table could have been really cute. I just couldn't justify in my head why a garden center would have like a picnic table, why you would ever need that at a garden center. Maybe it was like my little dream, like you could go to the plant shop and also buy a coffee and you could sit in the garden center with your coffee. And clearly I didn't really get behind that very much because I got rid of it. And this is where the final sort of bottom right hand corner starts to finally take shape. This had been something that was bugging me the entire time I was building, and I'm sure you saw, I would like periodically like take breaks from it and then come back and try something else, and then I would take breaks from it and then come back and try something else. Here I'm trying different things with pathing, but what I end up doing is keeping those two dirt paths, and then I go back and forth between the blue hydrangea bushes and I intersperse that with the white hyacinths, and I think it ends up turning out so pretty. This is that section where I don't really know what to call it, honestly. Like, I guess it's a little garden area. You can't really walk through it though. I don't know. It's really pretty, but I don't really think it serves a function other than being pretty, which is just fine, okay? Sometimes you just need to make an area that just simply looks nice. That's just nice to look at. And I think that's what I did here. Now I'm trying to figure out what to do with the bottom left-hand corner because it was incredibly empty, and I do run that stone path along the bottom of it, but it's that space in between the stone path and the border of the plot that I just don't end up putting anything there. And I try a couple different things. I try some fencing, I try some wheat field, and I ultimately just decide to leave it empty. And I think that turns out just fine. I actually do kind of enjoy the asymmetrical look of having the right hand side of the lot go all the way to the front, and then that left hand have just like a little bit of space in front of it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just justifying it, honestly, to myself. I also feel like I need to talk about the menu chalkboard that I have out there. It's not a menu in my head, okay? We're playing a little bit of pretend, which I tend to do. It's actually, I feel like, for customers, letting you know what your options are and what the different items are. I don't really know, honestly. It just looked nice, and I liked the way that it looked there. I thought it fit in really, really nicely. So just know that that's not a menu. You don't go and like order anything there. It's purely for looks, and maybe it has a list of all the different options for plants. And that is kind of that. Yeah, you'll see that I think maybe it's a good idea to run the same sort of bush and flower thing along the bottom of it. And turns out it's not, and I hate it. And now we get to go inside, which I am so excited about. So clearly the first thing I decide to do is change Anchovy's outfit. Priority number one, you know what I mean? And I put him in the cutest little outfit. I put him in an apron, and I put a little acorn hat on him, and I give him glasses, and he looks like the sweetest little hipster dude who runs a plant and garden shop. And I'm so obsessed with him. Look at him. Does he not look like the type of guy to talk your ear off about plants? And I feel like also he's really snobby about coffee in this outfit. He has very specific espresso beans, and he needs them to be pulled a specific way, and he uses a very specific type of milk. And I feel like maybe also he's really good at latte art. Clearly I've built up an entire world in my head. Let's talk about the build for a second. So originally I couldn't decide if I wanted to do an actual plant store or if I wanted to do a greenhouse and continue the sort of garden inside. So what you're seeing right now is me attempting to do a greenhouse, and we go with that idea for a little bit. I don't think I stick with it for long. It does end up turning into more of a plant shop. There isn't like a cash register or anything, so you'll just have to kind of play pretend with that too. But I go back and forth on wallpapers for a while, which is pretty classic Amira when it comes to building. I do love to sit there and agonize over wallpapers and floorings. So this is my first idea, which was the greenhouse. So I use the cafe curtain wall. If you've been here for a while, you will know that this is like my go-to for wallpapers. I love her so much. I think she's so pretty. I love the cafe curtain wallpaper. And I put out these log benches, which we have already established that I love. And then I put the potted plant starts on there with the Cosmo showers. And I wanted it to be like a greenhouse, right? So you have all these different plants that are growing in the greenhouse, and then the Cosmo showers are watering the flowers. And I go back and forth on the layout of that for a while. I edit the size of the room a couple times, and I don't know, it's just not my favorite thing. The entire time it felt, I just didn't like it. It didn't feel like me. It felt kind of ugly in my opinion. I'm not sure. It felt kind of clunky and not as like cutesy as I wanted it to be. And so I do end up changing to the actual plant store, plant shop. In my head also, you could go and get like flower arrangements. Again, I have like virtually no experience with businesses like this. The only time I've ever actually walked into a plant store that was not the garden center at a Home Depot was when I was looking for a florist for my wedding. And I just picked like the local one near my home. And I walked into that one, and it was super cute. Oh my gosh. She had like so many different little trinkets that I was not expecting to find at a plant store. There were like mugs and different really cute little pots and keychains, and just like, it was almost like a little gift shop that also happened to sell really pretty plants. And I don't really end up going in that direction, but that's literally my only experience in a plant store. So do with that what you will. I feel like maybe I should visit more. But also, I have like the opposite of a green thumb. I have a dead thumb. I can't keep plants alive to save my life, to be honest with you. It's just not a skill that I have. I feel like I have many skills, and planting and gardening and keeping green things alive is just not something in my wheelhouse. I really, really, really wish it was. In my head, I have an extensive garden in my back. I'm closing my eyes, by the way, so that I can truly picture my life as a gardener. In my head, I have an extensive garden with just like, I'm a botanist. You know what I mean? I am so versed and well I'm full of knowledge when it comes to flowers, and just so many flowers. Oh my gosh, so many flowers. And I grow my own veggies and herbs, and I fertilize everything. I don't know, clearly I have no idea what I'm talking about. But unfortunately, there are two pretty big struggles in my life that prevent this. The first being, I have a literal phobia of bees. So, flowers out the window, bees need to pollinate the flowers. And if I had a garden, I think I would have to go out in a full beekeeper suit anytime I tended to it, which is just unrealistic, Amira. I can't be doing that. That's just not the way to be doing. That's dramatic. The second being, I can't get dirty. It's just not something I enjoy doing. And unfortunately, gardens come with dirt. There are lots of dirty things, and you end up kneeling in the dirt for quite a while when you're gardening. And both of those things I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy bees or any type of bugs, but specifically bees. And I don't like getting dirty. So I think gardening is just kind of out of the question for me. I do love fake plants. I have a plethora of fake plants, so I kind of get my love for plants that way. I do love flowers. I think flowers are just the prettiest thing. I love looking at them. Unfortunately, every time I see them, there is an accompanying feeling of paranoia and terror, because where there are flowers, class, what's the answer? What else do you find with flowers? Bees. There will always be bees. You know the saying, where there's fire, there's smoke, or where there's smoke, there's fire? Where there are flowers, there are bees. So I can look from afar and I can enjoy candles that are scented like them, and I can enjoy fake plants in my home. But I think gardening is kind of out of the question. Anyways, I've talked about my qualms with gardening for far too long now. Let's get back to the build. Here we have our cutie little plant shop taking place. Oh my gosh, I think it is so stinking cute, you guys. It is so cute. I love the little centerpiece that I made with the shopping baskets, and I put the little bunny there and the different plants, and I love the Happy Home Paradise planter on top of the barrel. I think she is so cute. In the back left-hand corner there, that in my head is where like the florist would work. That's where she would put together all your floral arrangements. Maybe that's where she would take clippings of plants with whatever people do with clippings of plants. I don't know. And there's her little shed, her little storage cabinet. And then I really struggle with the placement of this broom for a while, because I really wanted it to be visible for when I was taking pictures. And I couldn't make it work with like the hanging plants. I don't know. This is where my perfectionism comes into place, because I wanted it to be next to the station where the gardener or the botanist or the florist was working. So really it makes sense to have it on the left there by the shed, right? That's where it is. But I also wanted it to be seen like head on when I'm taking pictures. And I just couldn't move on from that for a while. That was a struggle I really had to work through. I'm very brave. And I ended up putting it next to the shed, and that's where it belongs. You just won't be able to see it head on. And I guess I just have to get over that. This is something that I feel like I struggle with kind of a lot when I build interiors. I want things to be visible, and I don't want to put big things right in front, because that'll block like the camera. And if I put like a bookshelf right in front, then that's blocking everything else. And how am I supposed to take a picture of that? I don't know. It's really not that deep, and I can probably get over that. But just so you know, these are the things that go through my head on a regular basis while I'm building. We do have just a couple more minutes left in this speed build. This is kind of where I start putting together the final touches and little details. I struggle to fill this space up with wallpaper, and honestly, I keep the walls pretty minimal. On the back wall, or I guess the front wall, I don't know, by the doors, I just put a bulletin board, and then I think I put another hanging plant, and then keep that pretty simple. And then I go back and forth on maybe using a rug in the middle there, like underneath that whole centerpiece cluster of items that I have. And I ultimately decide not to do anything there either. So what you're seeing now is pretty much the final build. I end up adding some log benches right at the front there with some different little planty items, and you'll kind of see me go back and forth on those. But other than that, I feel like we can kind of start saying our goodbyes now. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. It really would mean the world to me. I post new videos every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Wednesdays are build videos on my own island. Like I said, we are doing a garden core island named Basil, and she is so cute. Please go and check out the 3 little builds that I have on there already. I am so excited to continue to build up that island. Fridays are Happy Home Paradise speed builds like the one that you just watched, and Sundays are island tours. The last 2 videos have come out at kind of an odd time. They've been pretty late for me. Normally they're much earlier, but it was just kind of a busy week as a teacher for me. So I apologize for the little shift in schedule, but Sunday we will be back to our normal earlier upload times. I would also quickly like to thank my members on this channel. Thank you so much for your continued support of me and support of this channel. I appreciate you much more than I can say. I will never have the words to adequately thank you enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You make me a very, very happy girl. My heart is so full. I love you all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll just never be able to thank you enough. I could probably sit here and thank you for 20 more minutes. I won't do that because that would be excessive, but just so you know, I could. Other than that, that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you are having the most wonderful day. I will leave you here with some screenshots of the final build, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Goodbye.